Before we dive in, please remember that the information in this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have seen in this presentation. It's Monday morning. You wake up, and you are a machine of perfect intentions. You've got your lemon water, your gym clothes are laid out, and your fridge is stocked with more kale and chicken breast than you know what to do with. You feel that surge of motivation. This is it. This is the week it all changes. This is the week it finally sticks. Tuesday is pretty good too. You fight off the urge for that mid-afternoon candy bar. You hit your step count. You're feeling a little hungry, a little tired, but you're pushing through. You're disciplined. Then Wednesday happens. A stressful meeting at work, a surprise bill in the mail, the kids are acting up. Suddenly, that discipline starts to feel like a prison. The cravings aren't just a whisper anymore. They're screaming. By Thursday, you're exhausted. The thought of chopping another vegetable or forcing yourself onto a treadmill feels physically impossible. And then comes Friday. You collapse onto the couch, and with a few taps on your phone, a large pizza is on its way. And as you take that first glorious cheesy bite, you make that all too familiar promise to yourself. It's okay. I'll start again on Monday. If that cycle sounds even remotely familiar, I need you to listen very, very closely. That cycle of motivation, restriction, exhaustion, and failure. It is not your fault. Let me say that again. It is not your fault. You are not weak. You do not lack willpower. You have been playing a game that is rigged against you from the very start. For decades, we've been sold a simple, seductive, and fundamentally broken idea about weight management. It's the gospel of calories in, calories out. The idea that your body is a simple calculator. Just burn more than you eat, and the weight will magically disappear. We've been told to eat less, move more. And if it's not working, well, you must not be trying hard enough. But what if that whole equation is wrong? What if the secret to sustainable, permanent weight management has almost nothing to do with punishing yourself at the gym or starving yourself with sad, tiny meals? What if you could actually feel more energized, more satisfied, and less hungry, all while your body naturally finds its healthy weight? That is the promise of this video. We are not going to give you another 30-day crash diet. We are not going to sell you a magic pill or a fat-burning tea. We are going to dismantle the lies you've been told and give you a new blueprint. A science-backed, sustainable system for working with your body's biology, not against it. We're going to talk about hormones, not just calories. We're going to talk about psychology, not just willpower. And by the end of this journey, you will have a set of tools that will free you from the diet roller coaster for good. So let's start by demolishing the single biggest myth that keeps people trapped in that Monday to Friday cycle. The myth is this: a calorie is a calorie. You've heard it a million times. 100 calories of soda is the same as 100 calories of avocado, right? In terms of pure energy, yes. But in terms of what those calories do inside your body, that statement is dangerously, catastrophically wrong. Thinking all calories are equal is like thinking all financial advice is equal. Getting a stock tip from Warren Buffett is not the same as getting one from your broke cousin, even if they both use the same number of words. Let's run a little experiment. Imagine you drink a can of soda. That's about 150 calories of pure sugar. That sugar hits your bloodstream like a tidal wave. Your body panics. This much sugar is toxic. So it releases a flood of a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job is to get that sugar out of your blood and fast. And where does it put it? It shoves it into your cells for immediate energy, and whatever is left over, which is usually a lot, gets converted and stored as body fat. Insulin is, fundamentally, a fat storage hormone. An hour later, your blood sugar crashes, you feel tired, cranky, and guess what? You're hungry again. Your body is screaming for another quick energy hit. Now let's imagine you eat 150 calories of an avocado instead. This is mostly healthy fat and fiber. It enters your bloodstream slowly like a gentle stream, not a tidal wave. There's no sugar spike, so there's no big insulin flood. Your body doesn't panic. Instead, it sends signals to your brain that say, hey, we're good. We've got high-quality, slow-burning fuel. We're full. We're satisfied. The fat and fiber keep you feeling full for hours. There's no energy crash, no hormonal chaos, and very little of that avocado gets immediately shuttled into fat storage. Same number of calories, but two completely different biological realities. One triggers your fat storage hormone and leaves you hungry for more. The other signals satiety, provides stable energy, and encourages your body to burn its own stored fat for fuel. This isn't just about soda and avocados. It's about everything you eat. 200 calories of a plain chicken breast, which is all protein, will actually cause your metabolism to speed up just to digest it. This is called the thermic effect of food, or TEF. Your body burns calories just breaking down the food you eat, and protein has the highest thermic effect by far, up to 30%. That means for every 100 calories of protein you eat, your body uses up to 30 of them just in the digestive process. Now compare that to 200 calories of a bagel, which is mostly refined carbohydrates. The thermic effect is tiny, maybe 5 to 10%. It spikes your insulin, encourages fat storage, and leaves you hungry an hour later, just like the soda. Do you see the game now? It's not about the number on the nutrition label, as much as it is about the asterisk hormonal instructions asterisk you are sending to your body with every single bite. You can eat a 1,500 calorie diet of processed carbs, sugar, and low-fat products, feel miserable and hungry all the time, and trigger your body's fat storage mode non-stop. Or you can eat a 1,800 calorie diet rich in protein, healthy fats, and fiber, feel full, satisfied, and energized, and be constantly sending your body signals to burn fat for fuel. This is the foundation. This is the paradigm shift that has to happen before anything else can work. Stop thinking like an accountant, obsessively tracking every calorie debit and credit. Start thinking like a biologist or a hormone whisperer. Ask yourself, what message is this food sending to my body? Is it a message of panic, storage, and hunger? Or is it a message of safety, satisfaction, and fuel burning? Once you make this mental switch, everything changes. Food is no longer the enemy. It's information. It's the tool you use to communicate with your metabolism. So what's the first step? The very first, most powerful action you can take, starting with your very next meal? It's incredibly simple. At every meal, your first priority is to ask, where is my protein and where is my fiber? That's it. Before you even think about carbs or fats or anything else, identify your sources of protein and fiber. Why? Because this simple rule automatically leverages the hormonal reality we just talked about. Protein and fiber are the two most satiating macronutrients. They fill you up, they keep you full for longer, and they prevent the wild blood sugar and insulin spikes that drive cravings and fat storage. Think about a typical American breakfast. A bowl of cereal, a bagel with cream cheese, or a sugary muffin. That's a hormonal disaster. It's a pure carbohydrate and sugar bomb that sets you up for a day of cravings and energy crashes. Now what if you simply ask, where's my protein and fiber? Your breakfast transforms. Maybe it becomes 3 scrambled eggs, protein and fat, with a side of spinach and a handful of berries, fiber. Or a Greek yogurt, protein, with nuts and chia seeds, protein, fat, and fiber. Notice the calorie count might even be higher, but the hormonal message is completely different. That breakfast will carry you, energized and focused, all the way to lunch without a single thought about the vending machine. This isn't a diet. This is a strategy. It's not about restriction. It's about addition. You're not thinking, oh, I can't have that bagel. You're thinking, I need to build my meal around a solid protein source first. By focusing on adding protein and fiber, you naturally crowd out the less useful, hormonally damaging foods. You'll find you're just not as hungry for them anymore. This single principle is the first key to breaking the Monday to Friday cycle. Because when you're not fighting against your own biology, when you're not battling constant, hormonally driven hunger, you don't need superhuman willpower to succeed. You're no longer swimming against the current. You're letting the current carry you. So what's the first, or you put in the water? What's the first, most powerful shift you can make to get that current working for you instead of against you? It's a foundational principle, something so effective it feels like a cheat code for your metabolism. I call it the protein priority principle. And look, I know what you might be thinking. Protein? Really? That's the big secret. But stick with me, because the way most people think about protein is completely backward. They see it as something for bodybuilders, an afterthought, or just one of 3 macros to balance. That's a huge mistake. Prioritizing protein isn't just a tip. It's the entire strategic framework that makes sustainable weight management possible. It's the difference between constantly fighting a war against your appetite and having your appetite become your ally. Let me tell you a quick story about 2 friends, we'll call them Alex and Ben. Both wanted to lose the same 20 pounds. They started on the same day with the same motivation. Ben went the traditional route. He downloaded a calorie counting app and focused on one thing: eating less. His breakfast became a plain bagel with light cream cheese. Lunch was a big salad with fat-free dressing. For a snack, he'd have a rice cake or a diet granola bar. Dinner was a small portion of pasta. On paper, his calories were low. But in reality, Ben was miserable. He was starving by 10 a.m. He felt that gnawing, distracting hunger all day long. Every food commercial, every office donut, every smell from a restaurant was an act of psychological warfare. He was spending 100% of his willpower just resisting the urge to eat. And after 3 weeks of this white-knuckle misery, he cracked. He binged, felt guilty, and gave up, concluding, "Diets just don't work for me." Now let's look at Alex. Alex also tracked his food, but he had one simple, non-negotiable rule. Before he worried about anything else, he had to hit his protein target for the day. He built every single meal around a powerful protein source. His breakfast was 3 scrambled eggs with spinach and a side of Greek yogurt. Lunch was a huge salad but topped with a full grilled chicken breast. His afternoon snack wasn't a rice cake. It was a handful of almonds and a quality protein shake. For dinner, he had a beautiful piece of salmon with roasted vegetables. Here's the crazy part. Some days Alex actually ate more calories than Ben, but he was never hungry. He felt full, satisfied, and energized after every meal. He wasn't thinking about food 24/7. Resisting the office donuts wasn't a battle because he genuinely wasn't hungry for them. The weight came off steadily, almost as a side effect of his new way of eating. He wasn't on a diet. He had simply changed the architecture of his meals. Ben was fighting his biology. Alex was working with his. So why? Why did this one shift make such a seismic difference? Comes down to 3 powerful scientific reasons. First, and most obviously, is satiety. Of the 3 macronutrients, protein, fat, and carbohydrates, protein is by a massive margin the most satiating. It makes you feel fuller, faster, and for longer. This isn't just a feeling. It's a hormonal reality. When you eat a protein-rich meal, your body releases hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1, which are powerful satiety signals to your brain. They're literally telling your brain, "Hey, we're good down here. We've got the resources we need. You can turn off the hunger signals now." A meal high in refined carbs like Ben's bagel does the exact opposite. It spikes your blood sugar, and when it crashes, your body screams for more energy, triggering intense cravings. Second, protein directly suppresses your primary hunger hormone. There's a hormone in your body called ghrelin. You can think of ghrelin as the hunger monster. When your stomach is empty, it releases ghrelin, which travels to your brain and yells, "Geo, eat. Find food now." Protein is the single most effective nutrient for shutting ghrelin up. It's like a tranquilizer dart for the hunger monster. When you eat a sufficient amount of protein, ghrelin levels plummet and stay low for hours. This is why Alex could cruise through his afternoon, focused and productive, while Ben was staring at the clock, fantasizing about his next meal. Alex had sedated his hunger monster. Ben's was roaring. But the third reason is the one that feels like a genuine metabolic secret. It's called the thermic effect of food, or TEF. And here's what it means. Your body has to burn calories just to digest and process the food you eat. But, and this is the critical part, not all calories are created equal in this process. For carbohydrates, your body uses about 5 to 10% of their calories for digestion. For fats, it's even lower, around 0 to 3%. But for protein, your body torches a whopping 20 to 30% of the calories from protein just to break it down and use it. Let that sink in. For every 100 calories of protein you consume, you're only actually netting 70 to 80 of them. The other 20 to 30 are burned off automatically in the digestion process. It's like getting a 20 to 30% discount on your food. It's a free built-in metabolic boost that you get just by choosing protein. Alex wasn't just feeling fuller. His body was literally burning more calories at rest than Ben's was, simply because of his food choices. He turned his body into a less efficient storage machine and a more efficient fat-burning engine. Okay, so the science is clear. But how do we put this into practice without a degree in nutrition? Simpler than you think. Don't get lost in complex numbers. Just start with one goal. Aim for a minimum of 30 grams of protein with every major meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 30 grams. That's your new baseline. What does 30 grams look like? It's about a deck of card-sized chicken breast. It's a 5-ounce steak or piece of salmon. It's a little over a cup of Greek yogurt mixed with a scoop of protein powder. It's a can of tuna. For my plant-based friends, it's a block of firm tofu or a hearty serving of lentils and quinoa. Hitting this number ensures you're getting enough protein to trigger those powerful satiety signals and fire up your metabolism. And the single most important meal to get this right is breakfast. The typical American breakfast of a muffin, a bagel, cereal, or a sugary coffee drink is arguably the worst possible way you can start your day. It's a carbohydrate bomb that sets you up for a day of energy crashes and relentless cravings. You are literally programming your body to fail. Switching to a protein-forward breakfast like eggs, a protein smoothie, or Greek yogurt is a revolutionary act. It sets a stable blood sugar baseline for the day, crushes hunger for hours, and starts your metabolic engine on the right foot. If you only make one change after watching this, make it this one. Prioritize protein at breakfast. Look, this isn't about becoming a carnivore or living on protein shakes. It's about a simple reorientation. Before you decide what to eat for a meal, ask yourself one question. Where is my protein? Start there. Build the meal around that. Let your chicken, fish, eggs, tofu, or legumes be the star of the plate, and let the carbs and fats be the supporting actors. By simply making protein your priority, you stop fighting an impossible battle of willpower. You control hunger at the hormonal level. You increase your daily calorie burn without spending an extra minute in the gym. You give your body the essential building blocks it needs to maintain precious muscle mass while you lose fat, which is critical for a healthy metabolism in the long run. You've laid the foundation. You're building your meals around protein, you're controlling hunger, you're getting free calories from the thermic effect. You're feeling good. But there's a silent saboteur that can undo all of this hard work. A hidden ingredient, lurking in over 70% of packaged foods in the American supermarket, that is specifically engineered to bypass your body's fullness signals and make you crave more. It's not fat, and it's not what you think. And tackling it is the second critical key to making this effortless. The culprit is a specific, weaponized form of sugar that your body doesn't even recognize as food in the same way it does a piece of fruit. I'm talking about high fructose corn syrup and its chemical cousins. But it's more than just the ingredient itself. It's the way it's used. Food scientists, some of the most brilliant minds on the planet, have spent decades and billions of dollars perfecting something called the bliss point. This is the precise combination of sugar, salt, and fat that lights up the reward centers in your brain more intensely than anything found in nature. It's not food science, it's neuroscience. They are engineering cravings at a chemical level. Here's the critical difference. When you eat an apple, your body digests the sugar, fructose, along with fiber and water. This slows down its absorption. Your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin to manage the sugar in your blood, and your fat cells release a hormone called leptin, which travels to your brain and says, "Hey, we're full. You can stop eating now." It's a beautiful, elegant system of feedback loops that has kept humans alive and at a healthy weight for millennia. But high fructose corn syrup, stripped of all fiber and nutrients, is a metabolic Trojan horse. It hits your system like a tidal wave. And here's the insidious part. It's metabolized almost exclusively by your liver, in a way that's very similar to how your body processes alcohol. It doesn't trigger the same insulin or leptin response. So your brain never gets the "I'm full" signal. You can drink a 64-ounce soda packed with more sugar than you should have in 2 days, and your body's satiety hormones barely flicker. You're still hungry. In fact, you might be even hungrier because that massive sugar spike leads to a massive crash, which your brain interprets as an emergency signal to, you guessed it, eat more sugar. It's a vicious cycle, deliberately created for profit. You eat the hyper-palatable food, your brain gets a short, intense dopamine hit, but your body gets no fullness signal. Then the crash comes, you crave more, and you reach for the same product that caused the problem in the first place. It's a trap. And it's not a failure of your willpower. Your biology is being systematically hijacked by food chemistry. You are fighting a war against PhDs in a lab whose entire job is to make you lose that battle. So, the second critical key to sustainable weight management is to disarm this system. You have to eliminate these engineered, hyper-palatable foods. And I know that sounds daunting, but it's simpler than you think. And it starts by understanding where the enemy is hiding. Because it's not just in the obvious places like candy bars and soda. Oh no, it's far more clever than that. It's in your bread. Pick up a loaf of standard sandwich bread and read the ingredients. You'll likely find high fructose corn syrup or another added sugar. Why? It keeps it softer for longer and subtly enhances the flavor, making you prefer that brand. It's in your pasta sauce. A single half-cup serving of a popular brand can have more sugar than a chocolate chip cookie. It's in your yogurt, especially the low-fat fruit on the bottom kind. They take out the fat, which removes the flavor and texture, and then they dump in massive amounts of sugar or corn syrup to make it taste good again. It's a bait and switch. You think you're making a healthy choice, but you're just swapping fat for a substance that your liver will turn into fat anyway, all while making you hungrier. It's in salad dressings, ketchup, barbecue sauce, canned soups, frozen dinners, and even things that sound healthy like granola bars and breakfast cereals. These aren't foods anymore. They are food-like products. They are delivery systems for refined sugar, salt, and industrial fats, wrapped in a package with pictures of smiling families in sunny farm fields. And they hide it from you. The food industry has dozens of names for sugar to confuse you on the ingredient list. If you see dextrose, maltodextrin, evaporated cane juice, sucrose, barley malt, or anything that ends in ose, it's sugar. If you see syrup like corn syrup, rice syrup, or agave syrup, it's sugar. They'll use 4 or 5 different types in a single product so that sugar doesn't have to be the first ingredient on the label. So how do you fight back? Here is the second principle, the practical rule that will change everything. Stop eating things with a barcode, or if you must, follow the 5-ingredient rule. Think about it. An apple doesn't have an ingredient list. Neither does a chicken breast, a bag of spinach, an egg, or a handful of almonds. Real food is the ingredient. The moment you start primarily eating things that come in a box, bag, or can, you are outsourcing your nutrition to a corporation whose primary goal is not your health, but your repeat business. The 5-ingredient rule is your simple guide for when you do need to buy something packaged, like a jar of almond butter or a can of tomatoes. Flip it over. If the ingredient list has more than 5 things on it, or if it contains words you can't pronounce, put it back. This simple filter will automatically eliminate about 90% of the junk in a typical American supermarket. It forces you to bypass the processed food minefield and stick to things that are much closer to their natural state. This isn't about deprivation. It's about substitution. It's about upgrading. Instead of that sugary yogurt, you switch to plain Greek yogurt, which is packed with protein, and you add your own fresh berries. Now you have protein, fiber, and natural sweetness without the engineered bliss point. Instead of the bottled salad dressing full of corn syrup and soybean oil, you use olive oil, vinegar, and a pinch of salt and pepper. It takes 10 seconds, tastes 1,000 times better, and actually nourishes your body. The goal is to shift your diet from being 90% processed and 10% whole, to 90% whole and 10% processed. This single shift will recalibrate your entire system. Within a week or 2, your taste buds will change. That can of soda will start to taste sickly sweet. That packaged cookie will taste artificial. An actual strawberry will explode with flavor in a way you haven't experienced since you were a child. Your body's natural fullness signals, your leptin and insulin sensitivity, will start to come back online. You'll eat, you'll feel full, and you'll stop. Effortlessly. Because you've removed the chemical interference that was jamming the signal. This is the real secret. You don't need to count every calorie or live in a state of constant white-knuckled willpower. You just need to eat real food. By removing the engineered junk, you allow your body to do what it's designed to do. Manage your weight for you. You fix the signaling problem, and the weight problem starts to fix itself. And I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but who has the time to cook every meal from scratch? And isn't eating all that fresh, whole food incredibly expensive? That is the single biggest hurdle for most people. They believe that a healthy lifestyle is a luxury reserved for the rich and retired. But that is a myth. The third key is a system that makes eating this way not just affordable, but in many cases faster and easier than getting takeout or nuking a frozen dinner. And it starts by revolutionizing the way you look at your kitchen, your grocery list, and your schedule. Let's call this the always ready kitchen system. And I want to be crystal clear. This is not another one of those soul-crushing 6-hour Sunday meal prep guides where you end up with a fridge full of identical, sad-looking chicken and broccoli containers that you're sick of by Tuesday. That approach is brittle. It's rigid. It's a recipe for burnout. The always ready kitchen is the opposite. It's about flexibility, freedom, and making healthy choices not just easy but effortless. It's about designing an environment where your default setting is success. The first pillar of this system is stolen directly from the world's best chefs. It's a French concept called mise en place, which literally means everything in its place. In a restaurant, before the first customer even walks in, chefs spend hours washing, chopping, and organizing every single ingredient for every dish on the menu. So when an order comes in, they're not running to the walk-in freezer to find a chicken breast and then frantically dicing an onion. They're simply reaching, grabbing, and assembling. It's a system of pure efficiency, we're going to apply that same logic not to a single meal but to your entire week. This is what I call life mise en place. It starts the second you get home from the grocery store. The old you would just cram everything into the fridge and shut the door, creating a ticking time bomb of rotting vegetables and good intentions. The new you, the always ready you, takes an extra 20 to 30 minutes to prep your ingredients for the week. This isn't cooking. This is preparation. And it is the single highest leverage activity you can do for your health. You bring home that big bunch of celery? Don't just throw it in the crisper drawer to get limp and sad. Wash it, chop it into snackable sticks, and put them in a container of water. They'll stay crisp and delicious for a week. Now, when you're feeling snacky, you have a zero-friction, crunchy, healthy option ready to go. Same with carrots. Same with bell peppers. Slice them up. Have them ready. You brought home a beautiful head of romaine lettuce? Wash it, spin it dry, chop it up, and store it in a container with a paper towel. You have just eliminated the single biggest barrier to making a salad. The hard part is done. Next, you create a grain station. Once a week, you cook a big batch of a versatile high-fiber grain. Quinoa, brown rice, farro barley, pick your favorite. Let it cool, and store it in a large container in the fridge. This is now the foundation for a dozen different meals. It's the base for a quick grain bowl, a healthy side for a piece of fish, or a hearty addition to a soup. It's ready. Then comes the protein power-up. You can do this at the same time the grains are cooking. Bake a few chicken breasts with just salt and pepper. Hard-boil half a dozen eggs. Press and bake a block of tofu. Open and rinse a can of chickpeas. Again, you're not making a specific meal. You are creating a stockpile of ready-to-use protein. Having this on hand is the difference between a sad, unsatisfying salad and a powerhouse lunch that keeps you full for hours. It's the difference between ordering a greasy pizza and throwing together a delicious protein-packed grain bowl in 5 minutes flat. This brings us to the second pillar, revolutionizing your grocery list. Because your always-ready kitchen is only as good as the ingredients you stock it with. The strategy here is devastatingly simple. It's called the perimeter first rule. Think about the layout of almost any major grocery store in America. What's around the perimeter? The produce section, the butcher counter, the seafood, the dairy and eggs. It's where all the fresh, whole, single-ingredient foods live. And what's in those long, tempting middle aisles? The processed stuff. The chips, the cookies, the sugary cereals, the frozen dinners packed with sodium. The rule is this: 80% of your shopping cart must come from the perimeter of the store. You are free to venture into the aisles for essentials like spices, olive oil, coffee, and your beloved grains. But the bulk of your food, the foundation of your diet, comes from the outside track. This isn't a diet. It's a navigational strategy. It automatically filters out thousands of unhealthy options without you ever having to use an ounce of willpower reading labels. But here's the secret ingredient to making the perimeter first rule sustainable: the flavor arsenal. This is how we obliterate the myth that healthy food is boring. The reason most people think grilled chicken and brown rice is a punishment is because they don't know how to make it taste incredible. Your flavor arsenal is your secret weapon. You're going to dedicate a small part of your budget to stocking up on things that deliver a massive punch of flavor for virtually 0 calories. We're talking a variety of vinegars, balsamic, red wine, apple cider. We're talking mustards, Dijon, whole grain, spicy brown. We're talking hot sauces, soy sauce or tamari, spices from all over the world, smoked paprika, cumin, coriander, turmeric, chili powder, and critically fresh aromatics. Always have garlic, onions, lemons, and limes on hand. These are not optional. They are the tools you will use to turn that simple pre-cooked chicken breast into a different meal every single night. One night, you shred it and toss it with lime juice, cumin, and chili powder for a taco bowl. The next, you slice it and serve it with a squeeze of lemon and some fresh dill. The night after that, you toss it in a stir-fry with a splash of soy sauce and garlic. You are not eating the same boring meal. You are using the same smartly prepped components to create endless variety. This all comes together in the third and final pillar, revolutionizing your schedule with the 1-hour power prep. Forget spending your entire Sunday in the kitchen. We're going to condense all that life mise en place into one hyper-efficient hour. That's it. 1 hour a week is all you need to set up your always-ready kitchen. Looks like this. You walk into the kitchen on Sunday afternoon. You put on your favorite podcast or album. You set a timer for 60 minutes. Minutes 1 through 20. The wash and chop. Get all your produce out. Wash it, chop it, slice it, and put it into its designated containers. Celery, carrots, peppers, lettuce, broccoli, whatever you bought. Get it done. Minutes 21 through 40. The grains and proteins. While the produce is being washed, you've already filled a pot with water and put it on to boil for your quinoa or rice. Now you get your chicken breasts or tofu seasoned and into the oven. You put your eggs on to boil. This part is mostly passive. Things are just cooking. Minutes 41 through 60. The flavor arsenal and cleanup. While your grains and proteins are finishing, you do two things. First, you make one simple delicious sauce for the week. This could be a vinaigrette, olive oil, vinegar, a little mustard, salt, and pepper in a jar. Shake it up. Done. Or a yogurt dill sauce. Or a simple pesto. This takes 5 minutes and will elevate everything you eat. Second, you clean as you go. By the time that 60-minute timer goes off, your grains are cooked and cooling, your protein is out of the oven, your veggies are prepped, your sauce is made, and your kitchen is clean. You haven't cooked a single meal. And yet, you have guaranteed you will eat well all week. On Tuesday night, when you get home late, exhausted from work, you are not faced with a choice between a 45-minute cooking project and a 30-minute wait for DoorDash. You are faced with a 5-minute assembly job. You grab a bowl, a scoop of quinoa, a handful of pre-cooked chicken, a mountain of pre-chopped greens and veggies, a drizzle of that vinaigrette you made. You have just created a delicious, healthy, satisfying meal in less time than it takes to decide what to order. You didn't use willpower. You used a system. You made the right choice, the easiest choice. We've just built the perfect system to make healthy eating effortless. But what happens when your own brain starts to fight you? When the cravings hit, when motivation disappears, when you have a bad day and want to throw it all away? That's not a system failure. That's a psychological battle. And in the next part, we're going to give you the weapons to win it, by rewiring the very thought patterns that have been holding you hostage for years. Let's start with the most common saboteur, the one that lives inside your own head. It's the voice that whispers sweet nothings right before you make a terrible decision. It's the master of justification. We're going to call this voice the negotiator. And its favorite time to show up is when you are tired, stressed, or feeling even a little bit weak. The negotiator has a playbook, a set of go-to arguments that are so effective, they've probably worked on you hundreds of times. The first play is called the all or nothing. It sounds like this. Well, you already had that one cookie at the office party, so the whole day is ruined. You might as well just order a pizza, get some ice cream, and start over tomorrow. Sound familiar? This is a cognitive distortion. It's a trick your brain plays on you. It takes a tiny, insignificant deviation, one cookie, and catastrophizes it into a total system failure. The truth is, one cookie has a negligible impact on your long-term progress. But the pizza, the ice cream, and the subsequent guilt spiral, that does have an impact. The all-or-nothing mindset is the single biggest dream killer in weight management. It convinces you that perfection is the only path to success, and since perfection is impossible, you're doomed to fail, so you might as well give up now. The second play from the negotiator's book is the deserve it card. This one is insidious. You've had a brutal day. Your boss was a nightmare, the kids were screaming, you sat in traffic for an hour. The negotiator slides in and says, you deserve a reward. You've been through so much. This entire pint of salted caramel fudge ripple ice cream is the only thing that will make you feel better. It frames indulgence not as a choice, but as a form of justice. You're not just eating, you're getting what's owed to you. But here's the problem. You are confusing self-care with self-sabotage. True self-care would be taking a hot bath, calling a friend, going to bed early, or doing something that genuinely nourishes your soul without derailing the goals you've set for yourself. Using food as your primary coping mechanism for stress is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Feels good for a split second and then everything is so much worse. The third and perhaps most common play is the Monday myth. The negotiator loves a good weekend. On Friday afternoon it whispers, it's the weekend. Time to relax the rules. You can get back on track on Monday. This creates a recurring cycle of self-destruction. You spend 2 days undoing 5 days of hard work. The problem is that your body doesn't know what a Monday is. It doesn't operate on a 7-day cycle of discipline and chaos. Every day is just a day. I'll start Monday is one of the most dangerous lies you can tell yourself, because it gives you permission to be reckless now, with the empty promise of being perfect later. And when Monday comes, the pressure is so immense that you often crack by Tuesday, and the cycle begins all over again. So, how do you beat the negotiator? How do you win this psychological war? You don't fight it with brute force. You don't try to scream back at it. You beat it with a strategy. A simple 3-step mental framework that you can deploy the second you hear that voice start to whisper. Step 1 is the pause. That's it. Just pause. The negotiator thrives on impulsivity. It wants you to go from thought to action in a nanosecond, without any critical thinking in between. So you introduce a gap. When the thought hits, I should just eat the whole bag of chips, you don't argue with it. You don't agree with it. You just stop. Take one deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. This tiny 5-second action is a circuit breaker. It interrupts the automatic, conditioned response that has been ingrained in you for years. It moves you from the reactive, emotional part of your brain to the logical, thinking part of your brain. In that pause, you create an opportunity for a different choice. Step 2 is the question. In that moment of clarity you've created with the pause, you ask yourself one simple, non-judgmental question. What am I really feeling right now? Dig underneath the surface level craving. Are you hungry? Or are you bored? Are you craving sugar? Or are you feeling lonely? Are you wanting to reward yourself? Or are you trying to escape a feeling of inadequacy? Be a detective. Get curious. When you say, I deserve this, ask yourself, what do I truly deserve? Do I deserve a fleeting moment of pleasure followed by hours of regret and physical discomfort? Or do I deserve to feel proud, energetic, and in control of my own body? When you say, I'll start on Monday, ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do right now that my Monday self will thank me for? By asking a better question, you get a better answer. You expose the negotiator's arguments for the flimsy justifications they really are. Step 3 is the pivot. Once you've paused and questioned the motive, you pivot to a new action. This is crucial. You can't just stand there in a mental standoff with a craving. You have to actively change your state. If you identify that you're bored, don't just sit on the couch trying not to think about the pantry. Get up. Put on some music and tidy one room. Call a friend. Watch a funny video. If you identify that you're stressed, don't use food to numb it. Do 5 minutes of stretching. Write down what's stressing you out. Step outside for some fresh air. The pivot is about having a pre-planned menu of non-food related activities that address the real underlying emotion. You're not just distracting yourself. You're actually solving the root problem. This pause question pivot technique is your first line of defense. But for those really intense, overwhelming cravings, we need to bring in the special forces. This technique is called urge surfing. Most of us treat a craving like a monster we have to slay. We fight it, we wrestle with it, we white-knuckle our way through it. But this is exhausting, and eventually the monster wins. Urge surfing reframes the entire experience. A craving is not a monster. It's a wave. It's an ocean wave of sensation. It starts small, builds in intensity, reaches a peak, and then if you just let it be, it will crash and recede all on its own. Your job is not to fight the wave. Your job is to grab a surfboard and ride it. Here's how it works. The next time a powerful craving hits, don't run from it. Don't give in to it. Just sit with it. Close your eyes and observe it like a curious scientist. Where do you feel it in your body? Is it a hollowness in your stomach? A watering in your mouth? A tension in your shoulders? Notice the thoughts that come with it. I need this now. I can't stand this feeling. Just notice them without judgment. Don't latch onto them. Imagine them as clouds passing in the sky. Then, track the intensity of the physical sensation on a scale of 1 to 10. Watch as it climbs 6, 7, maybe it hits an 8 or a 9. You'll feel a moment of panic where you think, this is it. I'm going to break. But if you just stay with it, breathing calmly, you will notice something miraculous. It will stop climbing. It will hold at its peak for a moment and then it will start to fade. 9 is 7, and within a few minutes, the wave will have passed, and you'll be standing on the shore untouched. Every time you successfully surf an urge, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are teaching it that a craving is not a command. It is just a temporary, survivable sensation. You are weakening the link between trigger and response, and building your mental muscle of self-regulation. Mastering this internal world, learning to be the manager of your own mind instead of a victim of your own thoughts, is the secret ingredient that most diets completely ignore. It's the difference between someone who loses weight for a few months and someone who maintains a healthy weight for life. But even with the strongest mindset on the planet, you're still making the game unnecessarily hard on yourself if you're constantly fighting a losing battle against your own home. You can have a will of iron, but what happens when you're living in a fortress made of cookies and chips? The most disciplined mind can be worn down by constant temptation. So once we've fortified your mind, the next step is to fortify your environment. turning your home from a minefield of temptation into a sanctuary of support. And that's exactly what we're going to build brick by brick in the next part. The first brick we lay is the most important. It's the one that changes the entire blueprint of your daily life. It's called choice architecture. This is a powerful concept used by marketers and designers to influence your decisions every single day, from the layout of a grocery store to the design of a website. They know that human beings are wired to take the path of least resistance. The easiest choice is almost always the one we make, especially when we're tired, stressed, or hungry. For years, your home environment has likely been architected by default to make unhealthy choices easy. The chips are on the counter. The ice cream is at the front of the freezer. The remote control is right there on the coffee table. We're not going to fight this human tendency. We're going to hijack it. We are going to become the architects of our own environment, deliberately designing a space where the path of least resistance leads directly to our goals. Your home is about to become your greatest ally, a silent partner that works for you 24/7, even when your willpower is running on empty. Let's start at the epicenter, the kitchen. This is the battlefield where most dietary decisions are won or lost. Our first mission is a search and destroy operation for temptation. I want you to go through your pantry, your fridge, and your secret snack drawers with the mindset of a curator. You are curating an exhibition of your future self. Anything that doesn't align with that vision has to go. I'm talking about the processed cookies, the sugary cereals, the bags of chips, the sodas. Now I know what you're thinking, but I paid for that. I can't just throw it away, that's wasteful. Let me reframe that for you. The waste didn't happen when you threw it in the trash. The waste happened at the cash register when you bought it. Keeping it in your house, letting it tempt you, forcing you to expend precious mental energy to resist it every single day. That is far more costly than the $5 you spent on it. Your health, your energy, your peace of mind are worth infinitely more than a box of stale crackers. If it's unopened, donate it to a food bank. If it's open, give yourself permission to let it go. This isn't an act of deprivation. It's an act of liberation. You are freeing yourself from the daily battle. Once the purge is complete, we move to phase 2, strategic placement. We're going to apply a principle from the retail world. Eye level is buy level. Whatever is at your direct line of sight is what you will grab. So, we make the best choices the most visible choices. Get a beautiful fruit bowl and make it the centerpiece of your kitchen counter. Take your healthy vegetables, your carrots, your bell peppers, your cucumbers, wash them, chop them up, and put them in clear glass containers right at eye level in the front of your fridge. When you open that door hungry after a long day, the first thing you see shouldn't be leftover pizza. It should be a vibrant, appealing, ready-to-eat healthy snack. Put a pitcher of cold, filtered water, maybe with some lemon or mint in it, right there next to them. Move the less healthy but still okay in moderation items, like that block of cheese or jar of pickles, to the crisper drawers. The high-sugar, high-calorie treats that you or your family members might still want occasionally. They go into opaque containers on the highest shelf in the back of the pantry. You're not forbidding them, you're just adding friction. To get to them, you now have to make a conscious, deliberate effort. You need a step stool. You need to rummage. You've created a moment, a pause where you can ask yourself, do I really want this? More often than not, the path of least resistance, the pre-cut veggies right in front of you, will win. But this architecture extends beyond the kitchen. Think about your living room. For most of us, it's designed for one primary activity: sitting and watching a screen. The couch points to the TV, the remote is the most accessible object. What if we re-engineered it for movement? You don't need to turn it into a full-blown gym. But what if you kept a yoga mat rolled up in a decorative basket in the corner? What if a pair of dumbbells or resistance bands were tucked neatly beside the sofa? Their mere presence serves as a visual cue, a gentle nudge. While you're watching your favorite show, your eyes might land on that yoga mat, and you might think, you know, I could do a few stretches. You've just reduced the friction between the impulse to move and the action of moving to near zero. Now let's move to the bedroom. This is where you set the tone for the next day. One of the single most effective habits you can build is to lay out your workout clothes the night before. Don't just fold them on a chair. Put them right next to your bed on top of your phone so it's the first thing you see and touch when your alarm goes off. Why does this work? Because at 6 a.m., your conscious, rational brain is barely online. Your willpower is at its lowest. The number one reason people skip a morning workout isn't that they don't want to do it. It's the series of tiny decisions that stand in their way. What should I wear? Where are my socks? Are my headphones charged? By making those decisions the night before, You create a frictionless path from your bed to your workout. You've automated the decision when you were at your strongest to help yourself when you are at your weakest. And this environment extends beyond your four walls. Your car? Keep a gym bag packed with essentials in the trunk at all times. Now there's no excuse to skip the gym on the way home from work because you forgot your gear. Your desk at work? That's a microenvironment. Stock your drawer with healthy, non-perishable snacks. Almonds, protein bars, jerky. You've just created a powerful defense against the 3 p.m. vending machine craving or the office donuts. Finally, and perhaps most powerfully, we have to architect our social environment. The people you surround yourself with are the invisible architects of your choices. Their habits, their encouragement, or their subtle sabotage can make or break your journey. This isn't about cutting people out of your life. It's about having honest conversations and setting new defaults. Talk to your partner or your family. Explain what you're doing and why it's important to you. Ask for their support. It can be as simple as saying, "Hey, I'm really trying to avoid sweets right now. Could we keep the ice cream in the back of the freezer so I don't see it every time I open the door?" You're not asking them to change, you're asking them to help you succeed. Find an accountability partner, a friend on a similar journey who you can text for support, and start suggesting new social activities. Instead of the default, "Let's grab drinks and appetizers," suggest "Let's go for a hike and then grab a coffee," or "Let's try that new rock climbing gym." You'll be surprised how many people in your life are also craving healthier, more active ways to connect. By deliberately curating your kitchen, your home, your car, and even your social circles, you stop relying on the finite, unreliable resource of willpower. You are creating a world, a personal ecosystem, where the healthy choice becomes the easy choice, the automatic choice, the default. You've turned the tide. The wind is now at your back. So we've redesigned our physical and social worlds. We've made the right choice the easy choice. But what happens when you actually eat? Is there a right way to fuel your body? A secret to timing your meals to turn your metabolism into a fat-burning furnace instead of a fat storage unit? The answer is a resounding yes. And it's not just about what you eat, but when and how you eat. We're about to crack the code on meal timing and nutrient synergy, and transform your body's entire operating system. And that transformation begins with understanding a fundamental, yet often overlooked biological reality. Your body runs on a clock. Not just the 24-hour clock on your wall, but an intricate network of internal biological clocks in virtually every cell. This is your circadian rhythm, the master conductor of your metabolism. For decades, we were told that a calorie is a calorie no matter when you eat it. That has been proven to be dangerously oversimplified. Eating a 500-calorie meal at 8 a.m. has a profoundly different metabolic and hormonal effect than eating the exact same 500-calorie meal at 10 p.m. Why? Because your body is primed for different tasks at different times of the day. In the morning, your insulin sensitivity is at its peak. Your cells are like eager students, ready to take in glucose from your bloodstream and use it for energy to power you through the day. Your digestive system is fired up and ready to work. As the day progresses and evening approaches, your body begins to shift gears. It's preparing for rest and repair. Insulin sensitivity naturally decreases. Your digestive system slows down. Your body becomes more inclined to store energy rather than burn it. So when you eat a large, carb-heavy meal late at night, you're essentially forcing your metabolic factory to run a heavy-duty production line when the night shift janitors are supposed to be cleaning up. The result? That glucose from your meal has a harder time getting into your cells. It lingers in your bloodstream, prompting your pancreas to pump out even more insulin to deal with the problem. This leads to blood sugar spikes, followed by crashes, and over time contributes to insulin resistance, the very thing that locks your fat cells shut. This isn't just theory, it's proven science. Studies have shown that individuals who consume the majority of their calories earlier in the day lose significantly more weight and have better metabolic health markers than those who eat the same number of calories but consume them later in the day. This brings us to our first powerful strategy. Front-load your fuel. Think of the old adage, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. This isn't just folksy wisdom. It's a brilliant metabolic strategy rooted in our biology. By consuming a substantial, nutrient-dense breakfast and a solid lunch, you are aligning your energy intake with your body's natural metabolic rhythm. You're providing fuel when the engine is running at its hottest. This prevents the ravenous hunger that often leads to poor choices and overeating in the evening, when your willpower is at its lowest and your body is least equipped to handle a caloric onslaught. A king's breakfast doesn't mean a pile of pancakes and syrup. It means a powerhouse meal rich in protein and healthy fats. Think eggs with avocado and spinach, or a high-quality protein shake with berries and almond butter. This kind of meal sets a stable hormonal tone for the entire day. It keeps you full, focused, and prevents the mid-morning blood sugar crash that sends you running for a donut. Your prince's lunch is another solid, balanced meal. A large salad with grilled chicken or salmon, or a bowl of quinoa with roasted vegetables and chickpeas. This refuels your tank for the afternoon, keeping your energy steady. Then comes the pauper's dinner. This is where the magic really happens for weight management. Your evening meal should be lighter, easier to digest, and focused on protein and non-starchy vegetables. Think a piece of baked fish with a side of steamed asparagus, or a simple chicken and vegetable stir-fry. By tapering your calories as the day winds down, you're giving your digestive system a much-needed break. You're allowing your body to focus on its crucial overnight repair processes, like cellular cleanup and hormone regulation, instead of spending all night trying to digest a heavy meal. This one shift can dramatically improve sleep quality, reduce morning grogginess, and accelerate fat loss. But the timing is only half the equation. The other half is nutrient synergy, the how you eat. I want you to remember one simple rule that will change your relationship with food forever. Never eat a naked carb. A naked carb is a carbohydrate food eaten all by itself, especially a fast-digesting one. An apple, a handful of crackers, a slice of bread. When you eat these foods alone, they hit your bloodstream like a tidal wave of sugar. Your body scrambles, releasing a huge surge of insulin to manage the flood. This is what causes that classic energy spike, followed by the inevitable crash that leaves you feeling tired, foggy, and craving more sugar. It's a vicious cycle, but you can stop it instantly by dressing your carbs. That means pairing them with a protein or a healthy fat. The protein and fat act like a brake, dramatically slowing down the digestion and absorption of the carbohydrate. That sugar wave becomes a gentle rolling tide. Instead of a sharp spike and crash, you get a slow, steady release of energy. So instead of just an apple, have an apple with a tablespoon of almond butter. The fat and protein in the almond butter buffer the sugar from the apple. Instead of plain crackers, have them with a few slices of cheese or some hummus. Instead of toast with jam, have toast with avocado or a scrambled egg. This simple principle of food pairing is perhaps the single most effective tool for managing blood sugar, controlling cravings, and keeping your energy stable all day long. It turns potentially problematic foods into balanced, sustainable fuel. You're not just eating. You're strategically combining nutrients to control your hormonal response to food. You become the conductor of your own metabolic orchestra. To make this even easier to implement, let's combine these concepts into a simple daily framework I call the protein bookend strategy. It's incredibly simple. Start your day with protein and end your day with protein. That's it. We already discussed the king's breakfast. Making sure that meal contains at least 25 to 30 grams of protein is non-negotiable. This kickstarts muscle protein synthesis and crucially suppresses ghrelin, the hunger hormone, far more effectively than a carb-heavy breakfast. It literally programs your brain to feel fuller for longer. Then you live your day front-loading your fuel, pairing your carbs with protein and fat. But the second bookend is just as important. Your pauper's dinner, while smaller, should still be centered around a quality protein source. Why? As you sleep, your body goes into repair mode. It needs amino acids, the building blocks from protein, to repair muscle tissue, build new cells, and produce essential hormones and neurotransmitters. Providing a steady supply of these building blocks from your evening meal supports this overnight recovery process. It helps maintain lean muscle mass, which is your metabolic engine. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn even at rest. A protein-focused dinner also helps with satiety throughout the evening, preventing the late-night snacking that can so easily derail your progress. By bookending your day with protein, you are creating a hormonal and metabolic environment that favors muscle maintenance and fat burning. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you're not just randomly eating food. You're providing strategic information to your body. You're telling it, we have plenty of resources. We are strong. We don't need to hoard energy as fat. We can burn it for fuel. This is a profound shift from the traditional eat less, move more mantra. We're moving beyond simple calorie counting and into the realm of hormonal communication. By controlling the timing and combination of your foods, You are directly influencing the key hormones, insulin, ghrelin, leptin, that govern your hunger, your cravings, and your body's decision to store or burn fat. This isn't about restriction. It's about strategy. It's about working with your body's natural design, not against it. You start to realize that the 3 p.m. energy slump you thought was inevitable was actually just a blood sugar crash from a poorly constructed lunch. You discover that the intense late-night cravings you battled weren't a lack of willpower, but a hormonal cry for help triggered by an inadequate dinner. By mastering meal timing and nutrient synergy, you reclaim control. You stabilize your energy, eliminate cravings, and turn your body into a more efficient, fat-burning machine, all without feeling deprived. But there's another piece of this puzzle, a silent factor that can either supercharge your results or completely sabotage them, no matter how perfectly you time your meals. It's the invisible ecosystem inside you that's calling a lot of the shots. I'm talking about your gut microbiome, trillions of tiny tenants, bacteria, fungi, and viruses, living inside your digestive tract. Now, for decades, we thought of bacteria as just germs, things to be bleached and sanitized away. But the truth is, you are more bacteria than you are human. These microbes outnumber your own cells 10 to 1. And they form a complex, living organ that weighs as much as your brain. And just like your brain, it has a massive influence on your entire body, especially your weight. Think of your gut not as a simple tube for food, but as a bustling, vibrant rainforest. In a healthy rainforest, there's a huge diversity of plants and animals, all living in a delicate balance. This ecosystem purifies the water, creates clean air, and is resilient to threats. Your gut is the same. A diverse, balanced microbiome helps you digest food, produces essential vitamins, regulates your immune system, and critically for us, manages your weight. But when that ecosystem gets disrupted, when the bad guys start to outnumber the good guys, it becomes less like a rainforest and more like a polluted swamp. This state, called dysbiosis, is a secret driver of weight gain and a major roadblock to fat loss. So how do these tiny organisms have so much power? Comes down to 3 secret weapons they wield. First, they influence how many calories you actually absorb from your food. This is groundbreaking. 2 people can eat the exact same meal, the exact same 500 calories, but the person with an unhealthy gut microbiome can literally extract and store more of those calories as fat. Researchers have identified specific families of bacteria, like firmicutes, that are incredibly efficient at pulling energy from food. Studies consistently show that obese individuals have a higher ratio of these firmicutes compared to a family of bacteria called Bacteroidetes, which are more common in lean people. It's like having a hyper-efficient factory worker in your gut, whose only job is to squeeze every last drop of energy from your food and send it straight to your fat cells. You could be eating in a calorie deficit, but your gut bacteria are working against you, making that deficit much smaller than you think. The second weapon is inflammation. An unhealthy gut, dominated by the wrong kinds of bacteria, can lead to a condition called leaky gut. The lining of your intestines, which is supposed to be a strong, tightly woven barrier, starts to develop tiny gaps. This allows particles of undigested food and bacterial toxins to leak into your bloodstream where they don't belong. Your immune system sees these as foreign invaders and launches a full-scale attack. This creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout your entire body. And chronic inflammation is a disaster for weight management. It disrupts the signals of your key hunger and fat storage hormones, particularly insulin and leptin. It makes your cells resistant to insulin, which tells your body to store more fat, especially dangerous belly fat. It also makes your brain resistant to leptin, the I'm full hormone. So even when you've eaten enough, your brain never gets the message, leaving you feeling constantly hungry and unsatisfied. The third, and perhaps most insidious weapon, is craving control. Have you ever had an intense, inexplicable craving for something sugary or a highly processed carb? You might think it's just a lack of willpower, but it might not be your craving at all. The microbes in your gut have to eat too, and different species have different dietary preferences. The bad bacteria, the ones that thrive in an unhealthy gut, feast on sugar and refined flour. To ensure their own survival, they have evolved the ability to hijack your gut-brain axis, the complex communication network that connects your digestive system to your brain. They can release chemical signals that travel up the vagus nerve directly to your brain, influencing your mood and, crucially, your food choices. They essentially send a demand order for the junk food they need to thrive, making you crave the very things that are keeping you overweight. It's a vicious cycle. You eat sugar, the bad bacteria flourish, they make you crave more sugar, and the healthy ecosystem gets pushed further and further out of balance. So how do we fight back? How do we stop being a puppet for our microbial overlords and start cultivating a healthy, fat-burning internal garden? The answer isn't to go on a cleanse or buy a bunch of expensive supplements. The answer is to become a strategic gardener. You need to actively weed out the bad guys and fertilize the good guys. And you do this with food. Your mantra should be, eat for trillions. First, you need to feed your allies. The good bacteria, the bacteroidetes that lean people have in abundance, absolutely love a specific type of nutrient, prebiotic fiber. This isn't the same as the rough fiber you might find in cereal that just passes through you. Prebiotics are specific fibers that your body can't digest, but your good gut bacteria can. They are the fertilizer for your internal garden. When you consume them, you're selectively feeding the microbes that help regulate your weight, reduce inflammation, and strengthen your gut barrier. So where do you find them? Think onions, garlic, leeks, asparagus, slightly underripe bananas, Jerusalem artichokes, chicory root, oats, and apples. The goal here isn't just to eat one of these, but to get a wide variety. Diversity in your diet leads to diversity in your gut. A great simple challenge is to try and eat 30 different types of plants in a week. Sounds like a lot, but it's easier than you think. Every different fruit, vegetable, nut, seed, legume, and whole grain counts. A handful of mixed nuts could be 3 or 4 right there. A salad with different greens, tomatoes, and cucumbers adds a few more. This variety ensures you're feeding a wide range of beneficial bacteria, creating a resilient and powerful ecosystem. Next, you need to bring in reinforcements. This is where probiotics come in. If prebiotics are the fertilizer, probiotics are the new, healthy seeds you plant in the garden. These are live, beneficial bacteria found in fermented foods. For centuries, cultures around the world have been eating foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, and miso. These foods introduce new, helpful strains of bacteria into your system, helping to crowd out the bad guys. When you're choosing these foods, look for labels that say live and active cultures, for yogurt and kefir. For things like sauerkraut, choose the refrigerated, unpasteurized versions, as the pasteurization process kills the very bacteria you want. Start small. These foods are powerful and a little goes a long way. A forkful of sauerkraut with a meal or a small glass of kefir is a fantastic start. Finally, you want to create the perfect environment for your garden to thrive. This means showering your gut bacteria with compounds called polyphenol. These are antioxidants found in colorful plant foods that act as a kind of superfood for your good microbes. They help reduce inflammation and encourage the growth of beneficial species. The best sources are things you probably already love: berries, dark chocolate with a high cocoa content, green tea, extra virgin olive oil, and even red wine in moderation. Incorporating these foods doesn't just make your diet more enjoyable. It actively helps to reshape your microbiome in favor of leanness and health. At the same time, we have to stop feeding the enemy. The biggest culprits that destroy gut health are ultra-processed foods, artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose, and a low-fiber, low-variety diet. These things are like poison for your rainforest. They kill off the good bacteria and allow the sugar-loving, inflammation-causing bad guys to take over completely. This is why a sustainable plan isn't about just cutting calories. It's about changing the quality of those calories to fundamentally rebuild your internal ecosystem from the ground up. By feeding your gut the right things, you're not just eating, you're conducting a symphony. You're telling your body to absorb fewer calories, to turn down inflammation, to get your hunger hormones back online, and to quiet the junk food cravings that aren't even yours to begin with. This internal rebalancing act is one of the most powerful levers you can pull for sustainable weight management. It transforms your body from a state of constant civil war into a harmonious, efficient machine. But your gut, as powerful as it is still just one part of a larger system. It takes its orders from a command center that is constantly being bombarded by another invisible force, a force that can override even the most perfectly balanced microbiome and flip your body's fat storage switch to on, no matter what you eat. That command center is your brain. And that invisible force? It's the single most overlooked, misunderstood, and powerful driver of weight gain in the modern world: chronic stress. We're not talking about the acute stress of a near miss in traffic or a looming deadline. We're talking about the low-grade, relentless 24/7 hum of anxiety, pressure, and overwhelm that has become the background music to our lives. This is the force that hijacks your biology. It's the ghost in the machine that tells your body to store fat, even when you're in a calorie deficit. It's the silent saboteur that makes sustainable weight management feel like an impossible, uphill battle. To understand how this works, we need to talk about a hormone called cortisol. You've probably heard it called the stress hormone, and it often gets a bad rap. But cortisol isn't inherently evil. In fact, it's a crucial survival tool. Imagine your ancient ancestor is walking through the savannah and suddenly comes face to face with a saber-toothed tiger. Instantly, their brain's threat detection center, the amygdala, sends a panic signal to the hypothalamus. This kicks off a chain reaction known as the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Think of it as the body's emergency broadcast system. The adrenal glands sitting on top of your kidneys get the signal and pump out a flood of adrenaline and cortisol. This is the famous fight or flight response. Your heart pounds, your pupils dilate, your breathing quickens. Cortisol dumps sugar into your bloodstream for immediate energy. It sharpens your focus, and it even temporarily shuts down non-essential functions like digestion and your immune system. All of your body's resources are mobilized for one purpose: survive this immediate, life-threatening encounter. You either fight the tiger or you run for your life. And once the threat is gone, you've either escaped or won the fight. The cortisol levels drop, and your body returns to its normal calm rest and digest state. The system works perfectly. But here's the catastrophic problem. Your body's stress response system is ancient. It evolved for short-term physical threats. It has not evolved to handle the modern world. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and an angry email from your boss. It can't distinguish between a physical attack and a notification on your phone that sends your heart sinking. A traffic jam, a mountain of debt, an argument with your partner, or just the constant pressure to be productive to your HPA axis, these are all tigers. The difference is, these modern tigers never go away. The threat is never resolved. The alarm bell is constantly ringing day in and day out. And so, your body is marinating in a perpetual bath of cortisol. This isn't a short, life-saving spike. It's a chronic, system-wide elevation. And this chronic elevation of cortisol doesn't just make you feel frazzled and anxious. It systematically dismantles your best weight loss efforts in 4 profoundly destructive ways. First, it completely rewires your appetite and cravings. Cortisol's primary job in a stress response is to ensure you have enough energy to fight the threat. So it sends powerful signals to your brain that scream for quick, dense energy. It doesn't ask for a salad. It demands sugar, fat, and salt, the holy trinity of hyperpalatable, calorie-dense foods. This is why when you're stressed, you don't crave broccoli. You crave pizza, ice cream, and potato chips. Cortisol also cranks up a hunger hormone called ghrelin, making you feel ravenously hungry, even if your body doesn't physically need the fuel. It's a survival mechanism gone haywire. Your brain thinks it's preparing for a famine or a fight, so it drives you to consume as many calories as possible. Resisting these cravings isn't a matter of willpower. It's a battle against one of your body's most fundamental survival programs. Second, and this is critically important, chronic cortisol changes where your body stores fat. When cortisol is high, it signals your fat cells to go into storage mode. But it has a specific preference. It preferentially directs fat storage deep into your abdominal cavity, around your vital organs. This is visceral fat, the most dangerous type of body fat. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Storing energy around the core keeps it readily accessible for a life or death struggle. But in our modern world, it just accumulates. Visceral fat isn't just a passive blob of tissue. It's a metabolically active organ that pumps out inflammatory proteins called cytokines. These proteins increase your risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even certain cancers. So stress isn't just making you gain weight. It's making you gain the most dangerous kind of weight possible. Third, chronic cortisol actively breaks down your metabolic engine, your muscle. In its desperate search for quick energy, cortisol can trigger a process called gluconeogenesis, where it breaks down your own muscle tissue and converts it into glucose. Think about how devastating this is. You're going to the gym, you're trying to build or maintain lean muscle mass because you know it's the key to a healthy metabolism. But behind the scenes, your stress is literally eating away at that hard-earned muscle, slowing your resting metabolic rate and making it even easier to store fat. You are losing the very tissue that burns calories and gaining the tissue that stores them. It is the ultimate metabolic betrayal. Fourth, chronic cortisol paves a direct path to insulin resistance. When cortisol constantly floods your bloodstream with sugar to deal with perceived threats, your pancreas has to work overtime, pumping out insulin to shuttle that sugar into your cells. Over time, your cells become numb to insulin's constant signal. They stop responding properly. This is insulin resistance. Now, the sugar can't get into your cells for energy, so it stays in your bloodstream, causing high blood sugar. And what does your body do with all that excess sugar it can't use? You guessed it. It converts it into fat, primarily visceral fat. This vicious cycle is the gateway to prediabetes and full-blown type 2 diabetes. And if that weren't enough, there's the sleep connection. High cortisol levels at night, when they should be at their lowest, completely disrupt your sleep architecture. It prevents you from getting the deep, restorative sleep your body needs. And as we've already established, just one night of poor sleep is enough to throw your hunger hormones ghrelin and leptin out of whack and increase insulin resistance the next day. So now you have a terrifying feedback loop. Stress raises cortisol, which ruins your sleep. Ruined sleep raises cortisol even more, which makes you more stressed. It's a downward spiral that wrecks your hormones, tanks your energy, and locks your body in fat storage mode. This is why you can be doing everything right, counting calories, avoiding junk food, exercising, and still see the number on the scale go up, especially around your midsection. It's not your fault. You're not weak. You are fighting an invisible, internal war against an ancient survival response that is being triggered inappropriately by the pressures of modern life. Your body genuinely believes it is in constant danger, and it is doing exactly what it's designed to do to keep you alive. Crave energy, store fat, and conserve resources. So, the billion-dollar question is, what do we do about it? We can't eliminate stress from our lives. We can't quit our jobs, get rid of our bills, and go live in a monastery. The answer isn't to eliminate the stressors, but to change our body's response to them. It's about learning how to downregulate our own nervous system. It's about teaching our ancient biology that the angry email is not a saber-toothed tiger. We have to learn how to consciously flip the switch from the fight or flight, sympathetic state to the rest and digest parasympathetic state. This is not about fluffy self-care or just thinking positive. This is about using specific, tangible techniques that send a powerful signal of safety to your brain. A signal that turns down the cortisol faucet and allows your body to finally exit survival mode. It's about rewiring the very circuits that are holding your health hostage. And learning how to send those signals, how to take back control of your own biology, is the final and perhaps most crucial piece of the sustainable weight management puzzle. So, what are these signals? How do we become the masters of our own internal communication network? It starts by understanding a fundamental truth. The war for your health is not fought in the gym or the kitchen. It's fought in the 6 inches between your ears. This is the final battlefield. And winning here isn't about brute force or willpower. It's about strategy, intelligence, and changing the very rules of engagement. Let's call this process identity-based transformation. Because sustainable change never happens when you're trying to force yourself to be someone you're not. It happens when you fundamentally change who you believe you are. Think about it. Someone who says, "I'm trying to quit smoking," is in a constant state of struggle. They are a smoker resisting their nature. But someone who says, "I'm a non-smoker," has adopted a new identity. For them, not smoking is the default. It's just what they do. The same exact principle applies to weight management. As long as you see yourself as an overweight person trying to lose weight, you are locked in a battle against your own identity. Every healthy choice feels like a sacrifice, a deviation from your true self. The goal, the final unlock, is to stop trying to be a healthy person and start being one. How do you do that? You don't just wake up one day and decide. You build it brick by brick with evidence. You start collecting proof for your new identity. Instead of saying, "I have to go to the gym," you say, "I'm the kind of person who prioritizes movement." Then you go for a 10-minute walk. That's one brick. Instead of, "I can't have that donut," you tell yourself, "I'm the kind of person who nourishes my body with good food." Then you have an apple. That's another brick. These aren't just semantic games. Every time you perform an action that aligns with your desired identity, you cast a vote for that version of yourself. A single walk won't change your life. A single apple won't transform your body. But 1,000 of these small votes? That builds an identity. It rewires your brain to believe at a subconscious level, "This is who I am now." And once your identity shifts, your behaviors follow automatically, without the need for constant draining willpower. You're no longer swimming against the current. You've become the current. The second part of this internal rewiring is mastering your emotional landscape. For so many of us, food isn't just fuel. It's comfort. It's a reward. It's a distraction. It's a way to numb ourselves from stress, boredom, loneliness, or anxiety. We have, over years, built a superhighway in our brain that directly connects negative emotion to the act of eating. A bad day at work equals a pint of ice cream. A fight with a partner equals a bag of chips. That circuit is so well worn, so automatic, that we don't even realize we're doing it. Trying to use willpower to block that superhighway is like trying to stop a freight train with your bare hands. You'll lose every time. The only way to win is to build a new road. You need to create an off-ramp. This is about emotional regulation. The next time you feel that pull, that mindless urge to open the fridge when you know you're not hungry, stop, just for a second, and ask yourself one question. What am I truly feeling right now? Don't judge it. Just name it. Is it boredom? Stress? Frustration? The simple act of naming the emotion creates a tiny bit of space between the feeling and your reaction. You're moving from the reactive, primitive part of your brain to the thoughtful, conscious part. In that space, you have a choice. You can follow the old superhighway to the pantry, or you can consciously choose to take a new road. This new road is any non-food activity that helps you process that specific emotion. If you're stressed, maybe the new road is 5 deep breaths, a short walk outside, or listening to one song. If you're bored, maybe it's calling a friend, tidying one small corner of a room, or reading a chapter of a book. At first, this will feel forced and unnatural. The pull of the old habit will be immense. But every single time you choose the new road, you are paving it. You are sending a signal to your brain. Hey, there's another way to handle this feeling. Over time, with repetition, that new off-ramp becomes a well-paved road, and then a highway of its own. You're not just resisting a craving, you're fundamentally rewiring the emotional circuits that caused the craving in the first place. You are teaching your body and brain that food is for nourishment, and that you have a whole toolbox of other, better strategies for handling life's emotional challenges. The third and final piece of this internal control system is to become the architect of your environment. We like to think we are creatures of pure logic and willpower, but the truth is we are profoundly influenced by our surroundings. If you have cookies on your counter, you will eventually eat them. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is designed to take the path of least resistance. The constant sight of those cookies depletes your finite willpower reserves until, in a moment of stress or fatigue, you give in. A world-class athlete doesn't rely on willpower to get to training. They have a schedule, a coach, a team. They've designed their environment for success. You must do the same for your health. Stop making your healthy journey an uphill battle against your own home. Engineer your environment to make the right choices the easy choices. This means putting the healthy foods, like fruits and vegetables, at eye level in your fridge. It means pre-cutting veggies so they're an easy grab-and-go snack. It means putting the junk food on the highest shelf out of sight, or better yet, not bringing it into the house at all. It means laying out your workout clothes the night before, removing one small point of friction that might stop you in the morning. It means putting a water bottle on your desk so you see it and remember to hydrate. This isn't about restriction. It's about intelligent design. You are creating a space where your desired identity, that of a healthy, vibrant person, can thrive effortlessly. You are outsourcing the hard work of decision-making to your environment, so your conscious mind can focus on bigger things. When your environment is aligned with your goals, healthy behaviors become the default, the automatic choice. You're no longer fighting 1,000 tiny battles a day. You've already won the war before it even started, simply by being a smart architect. So let's bring it all home. Over these 10 parts, we've journeyed far beyond eat less, move more. We've dismantled the myths of quick fixes and embraced the power of sustainable systems. We've learned that quality of food can be more important than quantity, that movement is about joy, not punishment, and that sleep is a non-negotiable superpower. We've uncovered the hidden saboteurs in our gut and learned to manage the invisible force of stress. But all of it, every single tip, leads to this final ultimate conclusion. The power to transform your body lies in your ability to transform your mind. It's about shifting your identity so that healthy choices are a natural expression of who you are. It's about mastering your emotions so that food returns to its rightful place as nourishment, not therapy. And it's about architecting your environment so that your daily life supports your goals rather than sabotaging them. This is the path to freedom. Freedom from calorie counting, from guilt, from the endless cycle of dieting and regaining. This is about building a life where your health is not a chore you have to manage, but a natural outcome of the person you have become. You have the knowledge. You have the tools. You now hold the blueprint. The only question left is, what will you build? This is not the end of a video. This is the beginning of the rest of your life. Start building.